And joining us now is Senator Chris Coons, a close ally of President Biden. Thanks for joining us this morning, Senator. President Biden said this week that there is no there, and he has no regrets in how this was handled. 24 hours later, federal investigators searched his home and found 6 more classified documents.
Martha, it's great to be on with you again. Thanks for a chance to talk about this. It is important that President Biden is someone who respects the rule of law, who respects the importance of classified documents, and that this was a consensual search, that the Department of Justice was invited to come to his home and to search every nook and cranny, top to bottom, to find anything they possibly could. I think that's in fairly sharp contrast to the other president, former President Trump, who has also had a real challenge with the Department of Justice because he refused a consensual search. And I think as this plays out, the 2 special counsels who've been appointed appropriately by Attorney General Merrick Garland to get to the bottom of this will show us a fairly sharp difference in intent and in response. I'm confident that President Biden has said truthfully that there's no there, and in the end, we will see this was just an inadvertent matter of filing, in sharp contrast to his predecessor.
But how can he say he takes classified material seriously when some of what was found may have been in his home for more than a decade, and he seemingly had no idea?
Well, the important point there, Martha, is that he had no idea. As you know, if you're serving in the Senate or as vice president or president, you literally get millions of documents coming through your office week in and week out. And as you get more senior and as the matters that you're handling are more important and occasionally more classified, the volume gets higher. So I do think this was inadvertent. The whole point of having a special counsel is to ensure that and to give the American people confidence in that. But frankly, Martha, I also don't think this is an issue that's keeping Americans up at night. I think they're worried about much more day-to-day things like inflation, prices at the pump, prescription drug prices. Our president's making real progress in our economy, in our place in the world, in reducing prescription drug prices, and in helping the average American family. And I have some confidence that because he is fully cooperating, we will get to the bottom of this. And there is one important document that distinguishes former President Trump from President Biden. That's a warrant. It required an FBI search, a non-consensual warrant-driven search to get the documents from Mar-a-Lago. And former President Trump continues to insist that he's above the law, that he had the right to take whatever documents he chose to from the White House.
Senator, I want to get back
and fully cooperated. And I think that makes a real difference here.
You said the American people are probably paying attention to this. They have other things on their mind. Our most recent ABC News Ipsos poll says 64% of those in the latest poll, and that was before this latest discovery, believed he acted inappropriately. They think more that Trump acted inappropriately, 77%, but 64% of Americans think this was inappropriate. Do you believe that will hurt him going forward?
Well, look, I think, Martha, what's going to matter going forward is how this is handled. And President Biden has fully and promptly cooperated. The reason there was a search of his house here in Delaware was he invited them in. I do think in the end, whenever the special counsel concludes their investigation, they will agree with what President Biden just said. There was no there. All of us who are charged with handling classified documents know that we have a responsibility to handle them safely and properly. I suspect there's a lot of senior or former elected officials now doing a fairly thorough search of the documents they have in their homes or in storage or at their institutes. But I do not think in the end, Martha, that when we get to the next election, this will be the deciding issue.
And you don't think there will be any political fallout from this? You don't think Americans look at this and say, look, they both had classified documents?
Well, I think the fallout is right now we're talking about this instead of President Biden's leadership on confronting Russian aggression in Ukraine, or talking about something I do think is on people's minds, the potential of a debt ceiling fight and a default. The political fallout is it's going to take focus and attention. And at a time when our president has done such a strong job, where we've got the wind at our back because of the big pieces of legislation he just signed into law in the last few months, the fact that this will take up time and be a distraction, yes, that has a political impact.
And I want to ask you this. His lawyers discovered the first batch of classified documents before the midterm election. It wasn't made public until January 9th, and only after reporters broke that story. Was that a mistake?
Well, my understanding, and I don't know the intimate details of exactly who contacted whom when, my understanding, Martha, is that they promptly contacted the National Archives and Records Administration, which is the appropriate first step, and it took some time for the documents to get from the Biden Center to NARA to the Department of Justice, and that accounts for that delay.
It wasn't disclosed to the public until reporters broke the story. Was that a mistake?
I think we'll let the public decide that, and I think once we get to the end of the special counsel's investigation, the American people will have a chance to make a judgment on that question.
And Senator Coons, I want to ask you one very quick question on Ukraine. You were with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz in Europe this week, where he reportedly said Germany would allow Leopard 2 tanks into Ukraine, but only if the U.S. sent its Abrams tanks as well. Is that accurate, and what do you think of that?
Look, I think it's urgent that we provide Ukraine with advanced main battle tanks. President Biden just announced another $2.5 billion, including sophisticated armored vehicles, American Bradleys and Strykers. I am concerned that Russia is rearming and preparing for a spring offensive. If it requires our sending some Abrams tanks in order to unlock getting the Leopard tanks from Germany, from Poland, from other allies, I would support that. I respect that our military leaders think the Abrams is too sophisticated, too expensive a platform to be as useful as the Leopards, but we need to continue to work with our close allies and to move forward in lockstep. President Biden's leadership on confronting Russian aggression in Ukraine is one of the best chapters of his very strong first 2 years. I do think we need to move forward quickly to provide the Ukrainians with the weapons they deserve so they can continue their brave and successful fight against the Russians.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Senator. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Martha.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.